has done and been as the manager of the Royals, but very consistent so far through the beginning of the year, and largely in part, including Carlos Santana, who isn't in the lineup today. He moves out. Nicky Lopez moves up. So you're getting kind of your first, shuffling around of the lineup. Rudy, I couldn't hear what you said in the talkback because the button is bad. So I just was. I'm not sure what. You can watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube channels.
There was no sound, and I'll have to talk to Beards about this. I noticed this yesterday, and I would have checked it again to see if the same thing happened today, but obviously didn't really have prep time.
Sure.
I believe the way it's I'll talk to Beards. The way it's set up right now is every time we before we go live, we have to unplug the power of the black magic box.
That seems
and plug
not
the
ideal.
Power back in.
I see.
It seems like that's probably something that should have to happen. So there was no sound, so I unplugged it. I don't know if the video feed is frozen, but I'm working on all that.
That's fine. The gist of it is, ideally, and let's promise for leg 2, we're doing another two-legged Almost Entirely Sports here tonight. For leg 2 of Almost Entirely Sports, we'll talk to Ryan Tracy of RGR Football, Rogue Analytics, Locked On Chiefs. He'll join us at 8:25. We'll do another edition of AES from 8 to 10 tonight, pretty much entirely in the Chiefs world. As we do Royals in part 1 here. It's like a 2-part album release. That's getting more and more in vogue, right? This is like the EP, and we'll give you the rest of the album between 8 and 10 tonight. But ideally, you can watch the show there. We got some great new upgraded equipment that's very exciting, where you can see the individual hairs on my head and look at my skincare, judge my skincare routine through TV cameras. The
it's
setup.
All working.
Oh, good. Well, the setup there. If you'd like to join in, you can do that on the Sports Radio 810 Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube channels. It's also a great place to leave your comments and interact with each other. And we're just trying to working out a few of the kinks. Yeah. What rhymes with hug me? Rudy is asking to the computer.
Slug me.
So the lineup today, again, the main new note, as Mike Matheny does something a little bit different and a very purposeful new thing here, not just forced in by injuries or whatever. It's Whit Merrifield batting first in right field, Nicky Lopez hitting second and playing second, Bobby Witt Jr. staying at third and hitting third, Salvador Perez cleaning up and DHing, Andrew Benintendi hitting fifth in left field. Hunter Dozier moves to first base for tonight. He's up next there. Then Adalberto Mondesi at shortstop, Michael A. Taylor in center field, and Cam Gallagher wraps up the order there. Of course, he's catching with Salvi DHing. Kind of interesting to look at what happens to that lineup when Nicky Lopez does move up. So again, whenever the things got shuffled today, Lopez was still going to bat second in the original lineup that the Royals put out originally. But whenever Salvi had the eye issue pop up again, he moved from catching to DH. The Royals clearly wanted Hunter Dozier's bat to stay in the lineup as he had a hot start to the season. He moves from DH to first, and then Carlos Santana comes out of the lineup as everything gets shuffled around there. So the main note from a non-injury perspective is Nicky Lopez getting pulled up to second. And then again, of course, Bobby Witt moves to third. Salvi cleaning up, Benintendi now fifth. But the Dozier to first base, Santana out of the lineup, and Cam Gallagher into the lineup appears to be a product of the team's precaution on the eye of Salvador Perez. So that is what we have off the top. Let's go to Mike Matheny on this here as well, as he talked about moving Nicky Lopez up to the 2-hole and what it was that made that a decision that was right for the team as they try to find a lineup that might be a little more productive than the offense has been so far this season.
Yeah, he's just taking really good at bats. That we are always looking for ways to get either guys or groups of guys going, and our offense needs a little bit of a jump start. We need to try and figure out ways to create a little more pressure, and Nicky's had not just a really good start to the season, but a carryover from what he was able to do last year. So try to put him in a spot to maybe capitalize on the at-bats that he's taking right now and his ability to get on base, and hopefully that'll generate more opportunities for the offense as a whole.
Is there any different mindset that he needs to take in that position?
He better not. Yeah, that's the whole thing. You're in a spot that we believe what you're doing right now will lead you to more success, and for us to have success. So, yeah, no, and, we try to we can say it all we want about guys just take a good at bat no matter where you are, but there is a psychology to being in certain spots in the order, and that can sometimes be counterproductive. So keep doing what you've been doing, keep grinding through your at bats. Don't try to get too big, try to do too much, and what you've done is the reason why you're where you are, and Nicky gets that.
Certainly doesn't want him changing his approach. Again, we'll bring. You know what? Actually, can we call a quick audible here, Rudy, and go to the Nicky Lopez clip? Let's do that. I literally 10 seconds ago told Rudy we were going to go to Matheny on Carlos Hernandez next. We'll get there. But as we're talking about Nicky Lopez, Todd Lebo also had a chance to catch up with him a little bit. I'll bring you a good chunk of it here because part of the interesting thing with, again, I mentioned this at the beginning of the show, this season has had some stop and start sort of action for the Royals. It's been sort of odd to get into this groove, and so while Nicky Lopez certainly is excited to be going into that 2 spot, and it shouldn't change anything about his approach from what he told Lebo and what Matheny said in that clip. Lebo did ask Nicky Lopez if it feels like this season has actually really started.
No, definitely is going. Obviously, it's April because, I know a lot of people, they jump to conclusions in April. It's just, more baseball. But we don't really look at it as that. We know it's a long season, so we just going to go out there and try to compete every single day, get some wins. But yeah, it's rainouts right now it's usual. It's definitely because it is April.
So division games, again, you've already played a couple of division opponents, got some more now with the Twins coming in here. They're all important. I get that. They're all 1 and 162, but division ones mean a little bit, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's just more of a good test right now before going and playing, non-division opponents. But right now it's a good test to see where we're at. And then obviously when we go toe-to-toe with them later in the season, just see where we were in April as opposed to where we are in, June and July. So they're good measuring points, but obviously every game is important. So we're going to go out there and compete and try to get a W.
I think that's about all you can take from it. I mean, these games do matter a little more, like Lebo said there, but if you're the Royals, if you're Nicky Lopez, I mean, there's maybe this is a general misconception that some people can have if you're, just sort of watching purely from the outside, but it's also not like there's a gear you can shift up into and play better baseball whenever it matters more. I do think, to Lebo's point, it's interesting as like, hey, there's just a little more on the line here. Not that, hey, are you guys going to play better on purpose as opposed to losing on purpose previously? Of course, that's not the implication of Lebo's question there. But you have the flavor of, hey, these are going to weigh a little bit heavier on those standings at the end of the year. Yes, there is a lot of baseball still to be played, but for a team that right now is sitting at 3-5, and frankly, I think those losses have been a little bit more overwhelming than the wins have been. It leaves you kind of maybe looking for a little bit of a boost that you could catch from these divisional games that the Royals are catching here early in the year. One of the pitchers that was not any sort of terrible letdown last time out, as the guy's getting the start tonight, Carlos Hernandez, not been he didn't come out like a Cy Young candidate against the Guardians more than a week ago. Again, this schedule is crazy. He's pitched 1 game this year, and it was 8 days back. He started against Cleveland, got through 4 1/3, gave up 6 hits, 4 runs, all of them earned, a homer, a couple of walks, just 1 strikeout. I am generally, though, pretty optimistic on the toolbox of Carlos Hernandez and his ability to put it all together. Here's Mike Matheny talking about today's starter.
I think the urgency of each pitch, but not trying to do too much, and that's kind of consistent with what you watched Brad do these last 2 starts. He finally found that effort level, the concentration level, and for a young pitcher, a lot of times that's just going to come with experience. But he has all the tools that he needs to be very successful for a long time, and I think he's realizing that. And okay, how can I do this without those little gaps, whether it's in focus or whether it's in execution. Control what you can control and trust that what you have is going to be able to get guys out.
And what he has can absolutely get guys out. You talk about what is and isn't controllable and what your options are and what it might ultimately take to translate all those tools into successful outings. That's going to be a part of the evolution for Carlos Hernandez. But again, I actually think that of this crop of pitchers, well, he wasn't one of the highly drafted collegiate guys that we've spent so much of our time talking about. I think there's a lot to be excited about around everything that Carlos Hernandez can do. Hopefully for the Royals, he's able to put together a solid start here tonight and improve a little bit of that along the way. We'll take a timeout here. Whenever we come back, we'll talk to Todd Lebo, who is out there for all of these pregame festivities. Later on, we'll bring you his conversation with Brady Singer, what Mike Matheny had to say about the young starter turned bullpen member, hopefully to turn back to a starter again. He talked about all of that. Plus, again, his conversations with Nicky Lopez, Hunter Dozier, and where the Royals stand right now. We'll talk to Lebo about all that whenever we come back.
Want more Almost Entirely Sports? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 Facebook page.
Find the best selection of Royals tickets now at ticketsforless.com. Tickets for Less has provided Kansas Cityans the best seats at the best prices to area events for nearly 20 years, all without ever charging outrageous service fees. Shop now at ticketsforless.com.
Owning a business comes with pressure. There's a limit to what I can do and still keep employees engaged. Fortunately, there's Insperity. They put 30-plus years of HR experience to work to help me with hiring, training, HR administration, and compliance, while giving my employees competitive benefit options. And because I'm able to focus on other priorities, my employees can thrive and my business can grow. With Insperity, nothing seems impossible. Insperity, HR that makes a difference.
The days of build it and they will come are over for websites. You need much more to stand out in the crowd. Digital Lagoon has been developing websites since 1995 and are experts in creating the perfect social media campaign, SEO, and other marketing programs to really bring in business. WHB chose Digital Lagoon to develop the website for our sister station, ESPN Kansas City, and couldn't be more pleased. You'll enjoy working with their programmers, graphic design, and marketing specialists located right here in Overland Park. Contact Jordan at digitallagoon.com.
Hi, Royals fans. This is Dayton Moore. The very same experts who treat the Royals can treat you too. Whether you're into sports or into your kids, you can count on the specialists at the University of Kansas Health System Sports Medicine and Performance Center. From injury prevention to sports performance to leading-edge treatments, they'll keep you at the top of your game. Whatever it may be, you deserve the Royals treatment. For an appointment, visit royalstreatment.com.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
I'm McCall with Lee Summit Subaru, and we want you to like us. Well, I like you. We'd like you to like us on Facebook. Go to Facebook search, type in Lee Summit Subaru, and follow us.
What's in it for me?
A lot. Stay up to date with new Subaru designs and incentives, huge discounts on service and detailing, free pop-up party events, trophies for best of pet photos, free restaurants and concerts.
Oh, I like that.
Well, then like us on Facebook. Fall in love with driving again at Lee Summit Subaru.
What do you really want for lunch today or tomorrow? Same old bar food? How about an American culinary road trip to the South Plaza at 51st and Main to Blue Highway Restaurant, a classic American dining experience. Try our house smoked salmon, our burn-in sandwich, or the showstopper, the lobster roll, or a little bit on the healthy side with our kale chicken Caesar. Inside or outdoor patio seating, pickup, or delivery. Go to Blue Highway at BLUHWY.com, open at 51st and Main.
The next wave of stars on the PGA Tour come to Blue Hills Country Club, May 16th through the 22nd, to compete in the Advent Health Championship. Get up close to the action and experience professional golf from behind the scenes as a volunteer. Join the Advent Health Championship Volunteer Program presented by Chase and get an opportunity to play Blue Hills Country Club, exclusive gear, and more. To volunteer, visit AdventHealthChampionship.com.
In business, you need connections. Now you can connect with unprecedented access to the nation's largest delivery network. Introducing USPS Connect. You want reach? We go there. You want easy? We make returns simple. You want fast? We deliver same day. Move your business forward with the United States Postal Service. Let's connect at USPSConnect.com. Specific markets, restrictions apply. Same day expected with entry close to final destination.
You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports.
There are so many names that I'm loosely aware of. Wait a second, what?
With Joshua Brisco.
I had one more good one. Hold on. I had one more good one, and then I lost. I know we need to take a break, Rudy. I know. I need to say the name. I need to say the name of another obscure veteran on the Diamondbacks. Mike Leake!
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Keep calling it Almost Entirely Royals as we get you ready for Royals Twins. It's been a couple days since the Royals actually played a baseball game, and our own Todd Lebo was out there to make sure everybody was kept on their toes, minding their P's and Q's, dropping the hard-hitting questions. And we brought a couple clips so far to the table, but I'll bring you his full conversation with Brady Singer coming up in a little bit because I thought it was really interesting. I think that whole story is interesting, but you don't have to hear it from me. You can hear it from the man himself. Lebo joins us now. Lebo, what did you make of your trip around the K out there earlier today?
Well, it's interesting, Josh. It was the first time I've been in the Royals clubhouse before a game in 2 years, in 2019. I've been out there for some post a couple of times on an opening day, things like that. But this seemed like the first kind of, hey, here it's a 7 o'clock game on a Tuesday. So I'm like, it's the beginning of a series. They've been off for 2 days. So I'll go out there, And I go in the clubhouse. I'm like, all right, okay, here we are. Like I've never talked to Brady Singer in that clubhouse. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
He's only pitched during the pandemic, right? I'm like, oh, there's Brady Singer. I'm like, and then I start thinking in my head, like, I haven't heard him say anything about anything because he hasn't pitched since that Sunday. And I'm like, I go over there and say hello, and he's affable, and he doesn't give you a lot ever, but I think he's an interesting guy because of where they are, and he talked after they told him he was going to be in the bullpen, but he's literally just been in the bullpen. He hasn't been on the mound one time. When they say he's in the bullpen, you think you're going to pitch, but he's only pitched one time. So I think, I don't know what his future is. Mike Matheny said that, eventually he will start again, but he's going to have to earn it back because, they're not putting him out there in even a moderately leveraged situation.
Yeah.
I mean, he pitched one time this year, and it was 13-2 when he came in, or 14-2, whatever.
It was bad. It was bad out there.
It was like no one was watching at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, at this point, we are going into Game 9 of this season, and he's pitched 3 innings. Like that. So I saw somebody made this point on Twitter. I'm just going to go try to find the actual stat and appropriately credit and whatnot. But I'm really bad at that, so I'm probably not going to remember. But somebody kind of gave what his recent number of total innings pitched had been, and that this particular role for him might be a bigger issue than finding your at-bats for Isbell and Olivares. Like this might be the thing that's perhaps gone a little bit more under the radar. Because to your point, if he's not out there, how does he work his way back? How do the Royals evaluate him if he's just throwing bullpen sessions? Like this just is it's a strange spot to find him in, and it's of course been aided by weather and strange scheduling and all of that, of course.
Well, and then they're clearly not going to give him any high leverage innings, and they've played a lot of games with high leverage innings, which is what they've had, except the one game he pitched in when they were really getting crushed. It was they've been 1-0, 2-1 most of the game, and then it ends up being like 3-1 or 4-1 or whatever, or 2-1. So they haven't had these games that I don't know if they're up 8-1 if they put him in, or they have to be down by 13 runs. I don't know what they're going to do. And I know for someone who was picked 18th overall in the draft, who got a lot of money to sign, who was the first of his class in the Royals with all these pitchers to get to pitch in the major leagues 2 years ago, and to get to be a starter last year, that I know that's got to be really disappointing to be told right before the season starts, hey, dude, you're not going to be in the rotation. And not only are you not going to be in the rotation, you ain't pitching the 6th inning in a game that's close, or the 7th inning or the 8th inning or whatever. And their bullpen has been good. I mean, here's what we're going to see, though, Josh. They're pitching every damn day,
right?
Although they've had a couple of days off. But, I mean, you're going to look out and see Barlow and Stalmont. You'll look up eventually and go, God, these guys pitching every day. And Brady Singer's not pitching. So I agree with you. If you want to find out what the guy's about and think he can be something besides, a starter, or if they think he's going to be a starter, I guess you just let him do this, and maybe you just get him out there in a few weeks when it comes time where they have a lot of games coming. But I'd love to see what he does in a leverage situation.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to see what it's about, man.
Yeah, we've heard so much about his demeanor and whatnot, but then we talked to Lesky about this after that really gross game where he did make an appearance. That wasn't his fault, but like he hit a batter and then went back inside once the remainder of his outing or something like that. I mean, there's no one would argue. I don't even think Brady Singer would argue. There's stuff for him to work through. He just hasn't had much of a canvas to work that out on. I'll give the credit here to Christopher Tenpenny on Twitter. He said Brady Singer's pitched 10.1 competitive innings since the lockout ended. That is not how I would want to evaluate a young pitcher, but I digress. To the point of it being a strange season with the scheduling and all of that. I know you asked Nicky Lopez about if we played this first segment, if it totally feels like the season has started. I mean, he said it's April, they're going. There's a lot of baseball still coming, but that as a part of the conversation, I think is very fair and very worthwhile because the rhythm that shows up in baseball in June and July it has not arrived yet.
No. It hasn't because they've had a couple of off days. They had the Friday off day after the opener,
mm-hmm.
and then they had the off day yesterday, and then they've had 2 rainouts, right? So you've had these kind of weird spots. And it was gross Sunday. It was not a pretty day. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I'll concede that it wasn't super pretty, but it wasn't the worst day there ever was. I think they put a couple little things in the formula and said, hey, this isn't worth it. It was Easter, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people weren't coming. I bet they hadn't sold a lot of tickets. And, it was raining and gross, so they said, let's not play. But, man, both teams were off yesterday, Detroit and the Royals, and they're going to want those days off back at some point because it's about to get hairy for these guys. I mean, they're scheduled to play today's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They're going to be off Monday. And then they go right back at it, and then the doubleheaders are going to start coming up at some point because they've got a couple of those scheduled already. And by the way, the weather looks like crap the next couple of days, so I bet they don't have perfectly beautiful days to have the weather. I think they're going to be all right tonight, but the next 2 days, night and an afternoon game, they can get stopped a little bit, and you'd hate to bang one of those and have to have another doubleheader. It's crazy. You look through their schedule. This is probably not going to be the top thing in the world when this comes around because this is going to be during the Chiefs season. But you realize how they end the year? They play 6 straight days in Cleveland. That's what they did because they were supposed to have Chicago and Cleveland to start, and they worked the Chicago series in with doubleheaders and a weird off day. And the Cleveland one, they said, let's just put it at the end. They're going to Cleveland on Friday, September 30th. And they're not coming out till it's all over on October 5th. They're going to spend a year in Cleveland 1 week.
Yeah, no kidding. With I'm projecting here, but meaningless baseball, a week in Cleveland.
With nothing to do.
That is a tough way to end a season.
Well, and maybe the Browns will be in town or something. I don't know.
Also, I don't know if Rudy caught it just then, but I think yesterday I said something about how Sunday's game got banged, and Rudy looked at me and maybe said he had never heard that before.
Oh, no, I just did it for you. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Lebo just did it. I told you.
Okay.
I said I've heard people say. I said on the show, I'm not trying to put Lebo's business out there, but I know I've heard Lebo say it, and it's come into my vernacular of game got canceled, postponed, whatever. They banged it. He just.
It's gone.
But when you said it, Lebo, Rudy didn't even bat an eye.
Well, that's part of his life now.
It's just something you have made it such an acceptable thing for you to say. I don't think I said it with enough confidence yesterday.
Yeah, it's just you just let it flow through. That's old baseball shit. Let's bang this thing. I don't know if they banged a gong and it's over. I don't know. I don't know where it comes from. Like on the Gong Show, you guys aren't old enough to remember this, but there was a TV show called The Gong Show where acts would come out and then when they banged the gong, you had to leave. It's like getting the hook at the Apollo. So maybe that's what it's from. I don't know.
That's a That's not a bad sort of. We do a lot of origins of the idiom on this show. Whenever I think of it, that's not a bad guess. And I look again, the way that you said it versus the way I said it. I think what I've learned is that you've gotta bang with confidence. I mean, there's just no other.
100%.
You do it any other way, and it's just all of a sudden you're gonna clearly be sought out as a fraud. I can't do that.
Yeah, well, I don't have any problem saying they banged a baseball game, but I have gotten much better when you're in a group interview setting saying this is a scrum instead of what we used to call them.
Yes, that one I have. I think I have also. Scrum is still a fun word.
Scrum's the right word. Yeah, the right public word.
Because there's a certification you can get as a scrum master now. It's like some sort of thing that says you know how to lead a team or something.
Really?
And that goes back to rugby. Yeah, look that up. It's some sort of thing. So I feel very cool saying, in the scrum over there. I don't feel good saying the other thing we used to say.
Can you earn certification as a master of the other thing?
I don't know if that's something that's done by I was going to say one of our advertisers, but I'll say a graduate school, but I want to put that on them. But I don't know. I don't know.
And if you're like, guys, will you just talk about the thing? Here's a little cross promotion. This term was featured in a recent episode of Hot Mic with SSJ and Frank Bowl. I just pulled up the podcast feed to make sure it made it into the title.
I would argue you get your masters of it at OU.
It could. Yes.
I mean, that's where the pro came from.
Might have to go to jail because of it. Football player when I was at college down there.
That's not good. Well,
no. Hey, that's a perfectly acceptable thing for a conversation with Frank Bowl on Hot Mic.
Absolutely. Here in a little almost entirely Royals, I don't know that I got Frank Bowl confidence. That's unsurprising though.
Wonder different rules here.
Yeah, that's right. Do you have any big hot takes on anything that Mike Matheny gave you today out there, as in terms of some of the lineup shuffling, where Brady Singer's at? Anything else? Carlos Hernandez is actually a super interesting case. He's just sort of been overshadowed by the more highly drafted pitchers in this class.
They didn't put him in the bullpen, so he's still pitching.
Yeah, he's still
I think
playing
it's
baseball.
With Nicky Lopez batting second,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's certainly something to see. The other thing that the kind of news of the day was this thing about Salvador Perez.
Yes.
And Mike talking about that, they're pretty confident with that now. It's pretty scary a couple of years ago, but still, it's still scary to me now.
Yeah.
It's, you got eye problems multiple times over the past few years with Salvador, because you kind of need your eyes to do this game. So we'll see what happens there. We didn't get a chance to talk to Salvi about that. Maybe Curtis is going to be out there tonight. Maybe he can get something that after the game or something if Salvi's available. But that's a scary thing with eye issues.
Yeah,
for sure. But I think Mike is man. He wears these things hard when they lose. And he's not very satisfied when they win.
Yeah.
So that's a tough way to be. And I don't think he really likes to sit around and not have a game. And because I asked him if he went home after they, canceled that game. He said he stuck around, did some work. But then afterwards I said, "You didn't stay here all day, did you?" He goes, No. Don't get the wrong impression. He definitely went home. But, he seems like the kind of guy's like, I got to work on, something for 5 days from now. And listen, when they bang a game, you ought to go home. You know what I mean? So he did do that. But I think, I like him. I like his approach. I like the way he kind of handles the team. I want them to win more for him because he does not do great with the losing.
Yeah.
And that's what you want. You don't want someone who just accepts it, right? Because it can wear you down, man. And being the manager of the Royals can wear you down too when they have not won as often as they should, obviously, the last few years. And you had to deal with pandemic and blah, 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 and all that kind of stuff that they've been dealing with. So I think he's, they're trying. That's what they're doing. But the bad news is that Nicky Lopez needs to bat number 2 because it's not working the other way.
Yeah.
And the bad news is Carlos Santana hits every day because that's what they're going to do.
Right. That's the thing. I made the point earlier of like, hey, if you were waiting for the Carlos Santana hammer to drop, that's not what happened today. He was in the original lineup, but they didn't want to lose Dozier because, hot start for him. I know you got a chance to talk to him in a second too, but they didn't want to move Dozier out of the lineup, so they did drop Santana to move Dozier over to first. But that the original lineup had all the usual suspects, just the order got shook up a little bit, and effectively now they've replaced Santana's bat with Cam Gallagher, which I'm not sure is exactly the direction you want to be moving in.
There was nothing wrong with that today, though.
No, I mean, why is this your Santana thing, or is this that you just?
That's Santana.
Yeah.
Cam Gallagher played today in St. Louis, got a couple hits.
Yeah.
Cam Gallagher's banging the baseball, man.
That's wrong use of the phrase, Reading. We'll get you around eventually.
Yeah, I think most people would take a night off from Carlos Santana, but they don't want to do it at the expense of Salvador Perez's eyes.
Right. You've gotta. You finally make that call for the sake of blurred left eye vision. But the one thing that I did think got a little spooky to me, and maybe I don't know, maybe it's not so bad. But whenever you look at the lineup with Nicky Lopez up at 2, and again you've got Gallagher out there instead of Santana. Not that Carlos Santana has played any sort of helpful baseball at this point. But the lineup gets kind of interesting in that bottom half. Where
it doesn't look as good down there, does it?
Right, yeah, but I'm trying to figure out what to make of it, because Benintendi and Dozier have had the hottest starts of the lineup, I think, on this team. Mondesi, ups, downs, whatever, but you can buy into the upside there. He's not just like your usual hope you don't see any headlines about your number 7 hitter. And then Michael A. Taylor and Cam Gallagher at 8-9. I mean, you're not setting up Witt for a whole lot of success up top, but I don't know. I kind of expected that to make me feel a little worse than it did. Maybe that's just because I feel pretty good about Benintendi and Dozier's starts and where Mondesi could go, and then you just kind of know who Michael A. Taylor and Cam Gallagher are.
Yeah, you kind of know what you got. You're exactly right with them. But listen, it's a one-day thing. It looks like at this point right now. We'll see how it's going with Salvi's eyes and see if he can get back there and be a catcher. But that just puts Santana back in there.
Yeah.
And until Santana does something better, I think Royals fans. I mean, listen, it's 2022. We just all want something right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Give me Pasquantino. Give me Prado. Give me both. Let one of them come over here and sit, not play. But I just want him up here to be around him. People probably need to chill. I say this a lot. We're living through this right now. But if you look back after Nick Prado has been a pro for 5 years, you won't remember April of 22. Right? But right now, you're like, what is Carlos Santana playing for? Right? And then that leads to all the rest of it, too, because if he's playing, or not tonight because they took him out of the lineup, that means you have to put someone else in. Well, who's got 17 backup catchers who are awesome? And Michael Taylor is fine. He's an okay player. There's nothing wrong with him. They signed him to a deal. They like him. They like what he's about. Mondesi's your issue. At this point, 7 years into being a Royal in some way on a major league roster, you would think, if I'd have told you back when they told you he was the greatest player ever and he was going to be someone to build a franchise around, if he was going to be batting 7th or 8th, you'd be going, well, that didn't work out very well. Why is he still on the team?
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we are with him.
At this point, it's just so far down on the list of things I'm actually stressed out about with the Royals. I feel like I've reached a kind of serene nihilism on Mondesi.
Yeah, you're just numb to it.
Yeah, man. Maybe he's gonna play MVP caliber baseball and raise the entire ceiling of this team. And if not, he's gonna bat in the back third of a lineup that I don't think is gonna be all that good anyway. By the time you're ready to make a call on Mondesi, hopefully you've got somebody else ready to lift this lineup. But at this point, who are you yanking them for? That's where I've found myself.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what you could do is have Whit Merrifield play second base, Nicky Lopez play shortstop, and go that way. But whatever. I mean, I'm not going to give up on him at this point.
Yeah, it's April.
I'm not all that excited about it because he hasn't shown. He did get a game-winning hit earlier this year, but he hasn't even given us a flash of any offensive stuff that were the things that kept people coming back for more.
Yeah.
You haven't gotten a taste yet. Now, it is still early. I don't know if we've mentioned that yet during this segment, but give me something. You know what I mean? Give me a gapper. Give me a home to third. Give me something like that where you're like, this guy's really showing it to you. You don't have that yet this year.
On TV right now, they are playing Vinny Pasquantino highlights. So
there you go. That's where we are, man.
Full circle. It is April 19th, and on TV, I am watching Omaha highlights. Awesome. Levo, I appreciate it. Thank you for being out there and doing the big J journalism work today, and then also carving out a little bit of time for the little guy.
I'm always here for you, Josh. You know that.
He really is. Todd Lebo of this very station. You know what you ought to do? Follow him on Twitter. I don't think he wants Twitter followers. I think you should follow him on Twitter at Lebonics just to make him annoyed whenever he sees his Twitter follower count going up. And maybe occasionally he'll tweet out a Wordle score. We'll take a break, and I will bring you his conversation with Brady Singer whenever we come back here on Almost Entirely Sports / Almost Entirely Royals. Phase 1. Phase 2, we'll talk more Chiefs at 8, Sporting Kansas City show at 7. But 10 more minutes of Royals Twins previewing whenever we come back.
Did you know you can listen to Almost Entirely Sports anywhere, anytime? Well, you can. Just
to let you hear his conversation with the pitcher who has gone from high draft pick and starter to the pen to work his way back. And Lebo had a chance to talk one-on-one with him for a little bit. Started by asking how he's doing with a minimal outings, just the one major league appearance so far this year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing okay. I mean, trying to kind of figure out ways to, keep my pitch count up and, keep some innings up as well. Throwing a lot of bullpens right now, but just kind of keep going with it. The starters have been doing a good job, getting deeper into games. The bullpen's obviously been unbelievable. So I feel like it's been a little tough, but, we're going to keep going.
So, what's your day like now, right? I mean, you have to be ready every day. This is a pretty big switch from before.
Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of like what you said, be ready every day, do what I usually do, like if I was, almost starting the game, because obviously, if it's pretty early in the game and I'm planning to go in there, starter can't get deeper, so, before the game, obviously, getting hot, kind of like I'm going to start that game.
And you haven't had a lot of opportunities, so, when you have to wait, until your next time out there, what's that like?
I mean, I don't really know. I mean, like I said, we're just kind of going with it, kind of trying to figure out what to do, but I feel good, feel ready to go.
And so when you're throwing your bullpens, everyone always talks about getting a third pitch and all that stuff. What kind of things are you working on the side?
Just everything. I mean, just sharpening everything I do. That's kind of what I've always done, and that's what I plan to keep doing.
So do you have communication with Mike? Do you know, hey, you could be going today if something happens here, or the leverage situations? What's your communication like with the staff on that?
No real communication kind of on when I'm going to throw. I mean, because of the starter. I mean, it's kind of based on, what the starter does. If he goes deeper in a game, probably not going to throw because, the guys who got in the bullpen right now are locked down. I mean, they've been incredible all year long. So kind of looking at, kind of reading the game. Obviously they're reading the game as well. So I'm looking at it. If the starter goes, shorter, I plan to go in there and I start getting ready.
So, and you talked about just the adjustment mentally for you. You're hanging in there doing that. Obviously you want to start, right?
Yeah.
Have they said if you earn your way back to that? I mean, or do you just have to keep pitching? I mean, are you just kind of lost out there is exactly what the longer-term plan is for the next few months this year?
Yeah, I think the thing I'm going to do is keep pitching. They can make those decisions, but I'm going to keep pitching and keep trying to get better.
I kind of feel for Brady Singer on some level there as a guy that right now, what is the plan? What could the plan be? Because right now he's got 3 innings of Major League ball this year as a guy who, as Lebo said, has been in the bullpen, and he has simply just been in the bullpen. Here's what Royals manager Mike Matheny had to say about Brady Singer just a little bit earlier this afternoon.
Yeah, Todd, that's always on our mind. Our bench too, right? I mean, our lineup on both those rain days had a significantly different looking lineup in there with some of the bench guys getting their opportunities, and then the rain ended up taking that away. And the same things happened for some of our pitching where know that we're going to need them all at some point, but with the off days and then the rain, you often have the guys that you wouldn't expect to have available, and that's gotten in the way of guys like Brady getting the amount of innings that they need. So he threw a pin on Sunday. He was able to kind of keep himself sharp, but it's hard for any of them. You got young players all the time that are coming up that were starters in the minor leagues and then are given a relief role, and they don't know exactly how to prepare mentally, physically. So it's an adjustment period, but so far he's handling it well. We just continue to tell him to stay sharp, do whatever you got to do. When your opportunity comes, you'll be ready.
You're seeing what you want from him on the attitude side that way, because that can go both ways with younger players, right?
No, he's been great. Yeah, he's a pro, and couldn't ask any more how he's handled everything. He's been very professional, but also we've had honest conversations. This is where he wants to be. We understand he wants to start, and he should. He's going to. But this is where our club is right now, and just understand we have tough decisions that need to be made.
I would argue a little bit with the idea that the Royals just have so much great pitching that's the thing, not allowing Brady Singer's opportunity to come. I think that Matheny's given you kind of a rosy picture there, but we'll see. Maybe he gets a chance to go tonight, as Carlos Hernandez will get the start as the Royals take the field once again after having a game rained out on Sunday, off day yesterday. Enjoy that coming up here. But the Sporting Kansas City show is up next on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Almost Entirely Sports will continue at 8. We'll talk a lot of Chiefs then. Talk to you then.
You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Joe Spiker, owner of Easton Roofing here. Well, it stormed. The last thing you want to mess with is dealing with it, but now you're stuck with dozens of people knocking